Welcome to the Horror Corner. Hello, everyone. My name is JPOOL, and tonight I'm joined by LC. Say hi.
Hi. Hey.
And we are going to be reviewing Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Now, this film is by Stephen Chiodo and written by Charles and Stephen Chiodo, the Chiodo brothers. And it is 1988, I would say, comedy horror, basically. So, yeah, it is goofy type of horror film. And I just realized I just turned down the music. That got a little too loud. You can't hear the music, but I just had music in the background that went.
Rocking out.
Yeah, well, no, it was the theme to Killer Klowns, and I forgot that the theme it jumps. So, yeah.
That theme.
Yes, the theme.
The Dickies.
The
The Dickies.
Now, I know that when this came out, there wasn't really a fear of clowns like we have today. In like the mid 2010s, there was this whole. I don't know if you remember. Remember when it wasn't even a promotional thing, but around the time when it was coming out, the remake, there was just clowns. They showed up. Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah. I actually had one of those instances at an office that I was working at. It was crazy. It's like 2016, I want to say, or 2015.
Yeah, around the time and the thing is they were asked, the studio and everything they were asked, is this like a promotional thing? They're like, no, we're not doing this. And it was really interesting because they showed up like in Europe, they showed up in it was like this coordinated clown attack. They were showing up on bridges, on roads, near people's garages, just standing on corners, and people were starting to get really freaked out. And if you already have, a clown phobia, then yeah, that's not helping.
It's unnerving. It's just that whole seeing something that it doesn't fit. And I think the silly vibe when it doesn't fit for some reason translates really scary.
Definitely. And I know that this movie has creepy clowns. It's not just like happy, goofy clowns, but no, I mean, and they've been a staple, especially in the cosplay community, cosplay horror community, for a while. So if you go to even some major conventions, you'll see some cosplayers going around with Killer Klowns from Outer Space cosplays.
Yeah, it's definitely in the last couple of years, I feel like there's more of the costumes out. When you go to Spirit during the season, you definitely are seeing those costumes more regularly than in past years. So it's nice that it's got a more mainstream comeuppance again.
Oh yes, definitely. And I like how a lot of parents are showing their kids Killer Klowns, and they're getting into it because I don't think they would have picked this movie up, just on their own. It is an old movie. Something the younger generation would call it like a boomer film.
Oh no! Oh no!
I know.
I would call it Gen X firmly.
But yeah, it is an older horror film, and you can definitely tell. I have it on DVD and Blu-ray,
Nice.
so you can tell the quality. I just watched it on DVD and then watched it on Blu-ray just to see the quality. I believe my friend has it on 4K, so that's an even higher jump.
Yeah, I did the 4K rent over streaming and enjoyed it, I think, a lot more than the last time I watched it, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And this movie was done on a 1.8, I'm looking it up right now, $1.8 million budget. So even around 1988, that's not a lot for a film of this caliber or this genre. And you would consider that almost a throwaway film. It's only 88 minutes, so it is barely a film.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The special effects, it's interesting too to deep dive on some of the special effects. There's some great classic scenes in this movie that I think anybody who loves this film instantly recalls. And there, it's really interesting how they pulled off some of those, like the stop motion animation shadow puppets and some of the other the classic scenes that everybody remembers. But I have to feel that the majority of that budget went towards those items and probably the city it's filmed in, since it was filmed out in California.
Oh yeah, definitely. And hopefully they got a tax break around that time as well, because not today.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Incentives, California has always been a little iffy with the incentives. I think probably just pure convenience of location.
Oh yeah. And this is supposed to be, taken. I like how we also have like an area of this where they're located is sort of like, bumpkin town. You have like this old farmer out there. He's like, I'm gonna be rich, and like no,
Class.
yeah. I think the sad part of that was not the farmer getting killed. It's the poor doggy. I'm a, I'm
The
a
dog,
I'm a I'm a dog person, so
that monologue was equivalent to Charlton Heston's Planet of the Apes. No, not my Pooh Bear, classic shake fist to the sky. It was pretty fantastic.
yes, yes, with a hint of camp to it because of his accent.
Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. Yeah, Farmer Gene Green, I think, is the character's name in it, which is hilarious. One of my favorite things about this movie is we have typecast Deb. So we have Debbie, who is also Deb from Weird Science. So this girl, every film that she, mastered in the 80s, she winds up with the name Deb in it, and she plays pretty much the same character every single time too. The classic 80s uh, hot chick. But yeah, the casting on this movie overall was, I think, really added to it. I know I shared with you previously my favorite character in the movie is Mooney. Mooney is, growing up, everybody knew that guy. You, from this first moment you see him where he's just aggravated for no apparent reason because people are having fun, you know that this guy eventually it's going to come out that he served in Korea and that he's got a drinking problem.
Oh
We
yeah.
all had that guy. That guy lived on everyone's block in the 80s.
Well, it's like he's a huge stereotype, especially I think around that time. A lot of people's outlook on law enforcement, late '80s, and he's like this, like I said, this sort of country bumpkin town, where you do have one or two or more of these older authoritarian characters that seem to go off the rails, and the other officers that are like by the book are looking at them going, how are you still on this job?
Especially Officer Hansen, who's so ridiculously passionate throughout the movie.
Yeah, you have to have
So
one.
much integrity.
Now, I was expecting him to actually, when I first saw him, because of tropes, I expect the good officer to give his life and die, because that's how it's done. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think, let's see, I believe they were actually in another cut. They were going to kill him off, if I remember correctly. But
Hansen?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
but the testing audiences wanted a happier ending, and
Okay.
so they went with he survives somehow for that giant
I
explosion.
I really, the cliffhanger to this entire movie is between Officer Hansen, Deb, and Mike, because this love triangle where you have these, moments in the police car between the two main guy characters in the movie where there's obviously some back and forth over the main female lead, and then at the end she runs to Hansen, and it's a little distracting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I remember correctly, that is his ex, and so it is a sort of
Yeah.
it is a triangle, because you know you like Mike. Mike's not a bad guy, and
Yeah,
neither is
no.
Dave. Neither of them are bad guys, and it just didn't work out between Debbie and Dave, and yeah, but
But it might.
but they survive. But they survive.
Right. It might. There's still a chance, it seems. I like Mike's character too. He's He seems very I don't know, excitable. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's the hero. He's the person with the plot hero plot armor.
Sure.
So when you think he's gonna die, you just have to remember he's yeah. If it goes along on these certain type of ropes, he's gonna survive no matter what. I do like the brothers in here. The what were their names? Had their names up here.
Paul and Rich, I think,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Pete and Rich. Yeah.
yeah. They're hilarious. They're the comedy like duo in here that the let's yeah they're riding around in
Very
their ice cream truck trying to get girls. They almost had them, but they lured in a few women with ice cream, and what do the women expect? They're just gonna get free ice cream. I'm sorry.
And then they lured in the girl clowns too, which was that added a little level of freak halfway through the
Yes,
movie. Towards the end, you're like, what happened?
I mean that just created a whole new like subgenre of you know freaky clown Rule 34,
Yeah,
which at the
that's
time there was no
the
such thing as
real
Rule 34.
that's the real scary part of the movie, honestly.
Because there is
My ab Go
yeah
ahead.
go on.
I was just gonna say my favorite part of the entire movie, honestly, was the bloodhound balloon animal. The
Mm.
tracking with the bloodhound balloon puppet. That was
Yeah,
pretty terrific.
I can just see them like on set going, okay, so I want you to make a balloon animal dog, and we're going to pretend like it's alive. Like yeah, like what? Yeah, it's gonna track the main characters down. That sounds like the stupidest thing ever. Okay, action. Okay.
Yeah, it hits. It's fantastic. I get giddy every time I see it. The person on set who was actually making the sniffing noises for said balloon dog, it was the person that really just pulled the whole movie together.
Now, oh yeah, we talked about the brothers. I think there was it Rich and Paul Terenzi? I think that's it. I think they got
Yeah.
those right. Yeah. Now, they're basically the comic relief. I thought they personally were gonna die, like especially when they're being attacked by Clownzilla, Jojo Clownzilla, the big boss, and gets thrown around and somehow blows up. I don't know, cars don't just blow up like that. I've seen so many car wrecks in person and some
Mhm.
horrible car wrecks, just like watching cars get cut in half. They don't blow up like that. Somehow, cars in the 80s and 90s just are very flammable.
Well, except for the car earlier that gets run off the road, which was one of the stunt fails in this movie, when they're being chased by clown driving invisible car down the road. Apparently, the stoppers were not taken off the wheels, and that car, when it ran off the cliff, was supposed to explode, but wound up just kind of loosely falling off the cliff, and then they added a little bit of fire and flame to it, but definitely not that explosion like the ice cream truck at the end of the movie. So you can see where some of that budget that we talked about at the beginning won, and where it failed in the movie for sure.
I like how they said we hit the freezer. Well, for one thing, you guys aren't small guys. The freezer. I had a friend who had an ice cream truck. Those things aren't that big. You're not gonna fit two guys in a freezer and survive an explosion that big. It's kind of like surviving the
Oh,
giant, nuclear blast in a refrigerator. You're getting thrown like over a mile, in Indiana Jones, and it's like I walked away from a nuclear blast.
right.
Even if you
It's a hell of
survive
a
the
freezer.
blast, when you hit the ground, you would have become pretty much putty because of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
impact. You survived that. Ah, okay.
It's a hell of a freezer.
It is. I want to know the make and model.
Right, exactly. They don't make them like that anymore.
Nope, because they don't have all that lead in them anymore.
Right.
It's the lead that protects you and also kills
And
you, but it's
eventually
also
kill
it
you.
eventually kills you. But it will you can survive any blast, even a nuclear blast, in a lead-lined refrigerator.
Mhm. What did you think about the cotton candy body holders.
I think that probably gave little kids nightmares when parents probably didn't realize what they were watching. They probably brought their kids to the movies going, "It's a cute little movie with clowns." Well, did you see Killer Klowns? Ah, parents, they don't, sometimes even look at the title. They're just like, clowns. They see one word and they're like, it's a kid's movie. And
Sure.
probably gave kids nightmares for a long time, or even kids watching it late at night on cable.
It's
Um,
clowns with a K. You got to
yeah.
be aware.
Well, some people can't read.
Mhm.
Uh,
I kept looking at those cotton candy body bags or cocoons, whatever they were referring to, pink cotton candy cocoons. They were really giving the rabbit's foot. That's all I could see when I was looking at those lucky rabbit's foots from when we were kids.
oh
Just
yeah,
strange prop choice for this movie for sure.
oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, especially the first scene where we get to see like a body. It's like tear off that part of the, cotton candy and just see this bloody face just sticking out of there. Um, and yeah, if you're a little kid, that's gonna give you some nightmares. But uh, you know, um, the horror is not too intense in here. There's a scene where somebody gets decapitated, um, like a goofy way, sort of like a, I hate to say it, sort of a Jason type of decapitation. I don't know
Hmm.
if you remember
Hmm.
Jason fighting that boxer on the top of a roof and him knocking the guy's head
Oh
right
yeah,
off.
classic moment for sure.
But in here, it's like just a funny little like punching, like boom from the middle and hits him. His head, knocks his head clean off.
The biker. I
Yes,
think he knock your block off or some corny line to set it up.
exactly. And then we find out that their weakness is actually not the best place to put your weakness, in my opinion. Wear
The
some type of,
target.
if it's going to be that like vulnerable, then you should wear like some type of armor or something.
Yeah, that was the perfect moment, right? When you discover that it's, of course, the puffy red nose for sure.
I mean, you don't even have to have anything major. You don't even have to shoot it. You just have to somehow break it, pop it. And you're like,
Right.
wow, they didn't really think this through when they came to Earth. Kind of like the aliens from War of the Worlds. They didn't realize that we have lots of viruses here, and you're probably going to catch just a common cold and die. So,
Right, right. Good point.
oh, these aliens. I recently saw this article, I think from this astrophysicist that said there's a like a probe like thing that's coming through our solar system soon, and they're worried it might be like a hostile alien coming towards us, even though it has no indication of being hostile. It could just be a comet of some kind, but apparently it's moving in a way where they don't think it's a comet or
Huh.
asteroid, but they consider it hostile. I'm like, when did it show hostility? It hasn't shown any hostility going anywhere. But they're like writing articles up right now saying, "Oh, Earth could be in trouble of hostile aliens." And like, why would the aliens need to be hostile?
Is
But
it coming right for us? Is
it,
that the
it it
key to
it
it?
said it's going through our solar system and might pass by Earth. So there's
Oh,
trajectory. Its trajectory is like we have a lot of asteroids and smaller rocks that pass by all the time. Sometimes
sure.
as large as a whole city, and we don't get informed until they're really past us. And you're like, really? You just tell us? You tell us now? But
But this one's looking at us funny. Is
yeah,
that
that's I take it with a grain of salt with some of these articles, and these like
Mm.
coming from like people in the field. But then you have some of these articles that sound really ridiculous talking about it like they know it's hostile, and I'm like that. You just showed pictures of it. It just looks like something streaking across the sky. How do you know it's going to be hostile? But clowns are hostile.
right? Right.
If you ever had if
Of
you
uh, John Wayne Gacy,
yeah.
very very hostile. Of all, it makes you wonder, of all of the possibilities for something coming to Earth, clowns, that was definitely a choice. So what was it? Just the sheer um, way that the title sounded, Killer Klowns. It has that nice ring to it. Clowns of all things, to me, not typically is scary as I would think an alien or some massive creature coming down, but in this case, of course, it's going to be the circus tent with the most uh, deformed, strange looking, giant, hulking beasts of clowns possible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is a phobia. Hold on a second. I looked it up. What it's called? Um, Alorophobia. I think it is.
Yeah.
Alorophobia. Um, the fear of clowns, and I just call it clownophobia. Come on, that's a lot easier.
Yeah, I know. Could have been easier, definitely.
But yeah, there have been fear of clowns for a very long time. If you go back to the early 20th century or the probably the late 1900s, like those early on clowns, those old pictures, those black and white pictures of
Yeah.
early clowns, those are nightmarish. They're really creepy. Um, it's like we're supposed to be here for the kids and make you laugh. I'm like, no, no, now you're creepy. You're really like those. Also, early Halloween costumes. Yeah, sometimes those are very nightmarish.
Yeah, those clown costumes are always the scariest. I know that there's some rule with clown makeup that you have to make everything rounded in order for it to be less scary. And they followed the rules for the clown makeup in this movie, but you insert some razor sharp teeth
Yeah,
and crazy eyes that are out of proportion for the rest of the head, and then of course outer
and,
space does it every
and toy guns,
toy guns and
popcorn,
popcorn.
popcorn.
It creeps.
Now, have you been to
That was
the Arizona fair lately or any
it's been
time?
a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years, but yeah,
Do you have any like favorite like fair foods that you eat or get anytime you're there?
I've got I've got to spend a solid hour plus just trying everything. And usually stupidly before I go on rides, but anything that's, the newest fried Oreos, fried whatever, butter, anything that's fried,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
try.
like I have
Mhm.
tried the fried butter. That is like diabetes in a
Yeah,
it's like
for
this
sure.
big. It's like what?
Mhm.
You want us to
Yeah,
get a heart
yeah.
attack while we're here? Okay.
Mhm. And now go on a ride. Now go on a roller coaster.
I don't trust the little like carnivals that show up at like at parking lots or
Oh,
anything like
no.
near like a Safeway or like at a park or something like that because you don't always know if their permits are up to par with the city and safety regulations. I've seen some
Yeah,
horror. I've,
no.
I've heard horror stories about things like that, or even seen videos of rides that weren't correctly you know tampered down or weighted down correctly, and just like yeah, I'll go to the state one. At least they have safety regulations. But I will never do the slingshot. The slingshot is the only thing I will never do.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, that's not for me. That is not we're not meant to fly like that. We're not meant to fly at all, but definitely not like that.
I won't go on, but I will watch videos of people going on and passing out when they like start to fly up to the air. You see that?
Or hitting yeah, or hitting a bird. Have you seen that one where
Yes, or
that's
somehow like these well-designed magical like tops on women just somehow stay on. You're just
Mhm,
like, I
mhm.
don't know how that's even possible. They should have been gone with the wind by now, but it's still holding them in together.
That's a gene tuck. That's the strategy. You gotta do a gene tuck.
So there are a lot of like fun little kills in here that happen. I think a very memorable one for a lot of people is the hand puppet, the
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Especially, I think that was in the trailer, if I remember correctly. I think they only showed part of that in the trailer, but that's a memorable one for a lot of people. That when you talk about Killer Klowns of like, oh yeah, 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 the shadow puppet kill. That was
Mhm. The dinosaur. And when you this movie, I every time I watch it, I instantly recall that there are a ton of T-Rex little, cameos throughout the movie. Deb is wearing T-Rex earrings. There's the shadow puppet T-Rex. There's a lot of dinosaur in this movie. But that's, the of all the puppets, honestly, a lot of people love the T-Rex. I've got to give it to Washington crossing the Delaware. That was pretty spectacular. Way to shadow puppet.
yeah, very difficult to do, especially if you'll just have two
Yeah.
hands. Yeah, there's just a bunch of fun little kills in here. The way it ends is just like, wow, almost the whole town has been killed. You're going like, there's only a handful of people left in the town now. It's just like so many people have died,
Yeah,
and
they
it
have the human vacuum at toward the end where they're sucking up all of the pink cotton candy cocoons throughout town and just bringing them into their massive lair with that vacuum.
yeah, and apparently when you're in the cocoon, it just slowly like it's like acid, slowly like each consumes your body.
My question is, why do some people wind up in a cocoon while other people wind up in a balloon?
I
How was that decided?
It might because maybe because she was a formidable opponent,
Perhaps. Maybe she was the trap.
possibly. But yes, that big balloon, going up at her house. The those are actually little creepy like clowns, almost like snakes that pop out of her laundry basket, like and come after
Hmm.
her.
Yeah. Hmm.
Makes you
Hmm.
want to be careful when you open your laundry basket.
Yeah, when you first see it's we referenced that the popcorn creeping across the bathroom floor, and it gets into the laundry basket, and you're trying to figure out how is popcorn going to be scary, and then you see, oh, okay, I get it now. These things grow into the 80s silly snakes pop out of your trash can, your giant trash bin outside the restaurant for a quick kill, or your laundry basket.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm here in Arizona. We have snakes. So you do have to be careful sometimes when you're at least hiking on the trails and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So okay, so this movie actually it was since it was only $1.8 million. The box office it was $43.6 million. So it did make its money back. It wasn't super popular when it came out, but it has grown to cult status. So there's uh, have you heard of Cult Classics?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So my friend Victor runs it, and yeah, he likes to show all different types of movies. And actually he was an artist too. So if you were at
Nice.
by his table at Mad Monster, he actually has a poster of
Oh, cool.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and he's shown it too at the
Nice.
Pollock Theater. And it's a fun film to show people for the first time, like because it's not it is campy, but there's a bit of fun to it. You don't see a lot of like fun horror movies these days. They're all very serious. They're all very, like even in a sense of like Megan, um
Hmm.
it does have camp to it, but there is a lot of seriousness to it. But I think it's, balanced a little bit with her snarky
Yeah.
attitude. More of in the second one. If you've seen the second one already.
Not yet. Not
Oh,
yet.
you haven't seen 2.0? Okay, I won't say
I
anything.
wasn't. Yeah, that's I wasn't a huge fan of the first one, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see if I go to the second.
Okay,
I
let
don't
me
know if I
just
can say that out loud.
say that it Megan 2.0
Better.
went from a horror movie in Megan to more of an action film.
I
So
heard she's the hero
yeah, so it
almost.
went from
Okay.
Terminator to Terminator 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
Following
that's
the
all I'll say.
costume.
That's all I'll say.
I feel like Killer Klowns on the camp factor, the cult classic camp factor, it's right up there with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, where it's just the whole thing is fun.
Oh yeah.
There's no seriousness to it. It's the entire movie in its short, duration is fun from start to finish. And it's funny too, we were talking a little bit before recording about, growing up and whose parents allowed them to watch horror movies, during overnights. And this one was PG-13. And I definitely remember this one was on the list of, no, you can't watch that for a lot of people. And looking at it now, it's with how movies have progressed, and PG-13 is so much wilder than this movie, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
So, it's for the kids today for sure.
Oh yeah, and a lot of kids these days, especially Generation Z, are discovering this film either on their own or more likely their parents turned them onto it, or they're just in the horror genre in general, and they're like, I want to see something with clowns, like creepy clowns. I like the movie It, and so like, what
Hmm.
else is in the
Very
genre that are
different.
clowns? And it's like, oh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Sounds
Hmm.
corny, but I'll watch it, and they've made a lot of fans. I have some friends that have kids that like to dress up like killer clowns. They turn their kids on to Killer Clowns from Outer Space, um,
Nice.
and so they like to go trick or treating and everything in those costumes as well.
Hmm.
But it's way above their age range in the sense of like they weren't there when it came out, um,
Right.
but they like it. So I'm glad it's getting another boost from this generation, and more people are starting to see it. I like it when people are turned on to movies that that are a lot older, but have become cult status, and now a newer generation is looking into them and going, "Oh, that's actually it's fun, or it's actually really good," and that makes me happy because it just makes the film live longer.
Yeah. This one I feel like has become it's moving into that tradition zone. I hear a lot of people that, do an annual viewing of it around Halloween or what have you. And that's when you hit that level, then yeah, and that would explain why you've got the merch coming back during October at some of the stores. But that's a hero level for horror movies when you reach that. That's the pinnacle.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when you have official costumes at Spirit Halloween, which are popping up
Sure.
again all over the place.
I
Uh,
know it must be summer.
I have a Big Lots not very far away from me, former Big
Mm.
Lots that already have a Spirit sign on there.
I love it. I love
Yep,
it.
yep.
It's everything we need in Arizona where it's 7 million degrees is to have a spirit Halloween, give you some relief from the sun in the middle of August every year.
Or it just tells you that a business is a going out or has gone out, and
That's
you're
true.
like, oh, there was something here before, but just now just says Spirit.
Mhm. Yeah. And speaking of camp and then speaking of spirit, did you happen to catch the Spirit Halloween movie?
I actually haven't seen that yet. I saw the trailer for it. I haven't got a chance to see it.
Yeah, it's good for the kids. I'll say that much. It's
Okay.
definitely good for the kids. So, what is the scariest clown then to you? Killer clowns, we've got it, we've got that creepy clown doll from Poltergeist. What's the scariest clown from, and I guess you have to say, is it Skarsgård or is it Curry? If you have to go with our favorite Pennywise.
I personally, I think Curry gives a extremely memorable performance, but I never was really terrified by his character. Like by the time that movie or that miniseries came out, I was
Mhm.
already in the area of understanding horror in my little mind, um, more and understanding what's real and what was not, and then also going what is actually scary. I was kind of formulating in around that time, like what's really scary to me are movies that can actually happen, more like
Yes,
horror events that actually can occur beyond the supernatural realm. And
absolutely.
I mean, I love Skarsgård. Probably puts on a creepier performance just because the movie itself is less about the comedy and more about the suspense and horror.
Hmm.
But I think the most memorable performance probably was Curry.
Yeah, to exactly what you said, now as an adult, when it's bad quality when you watch the miniseries, and the characters are a little bit over dramatic in some of their acting. But Curry's performance now almost scares me more because it he feels more like something that could actually happen. And if I ran into him as opposed to Skarsgård's character, which is, so animated and so um, otherworldly, I feel like Curry is much more frightening because if that guy showed up in your neighborhood, you've got problems.
Well, and he seems a little more inviting than the Skarsgård Pennywise. Skarsgård's Pennywise looks like a literal picture from the early 20th century, or even like I said, the late
Yeah,
1900s. Those the whole costume in general is supposed to
yeah.
like represent like that era of just old fashioned what clowns used to look like. And like I said, those photos of early clowns are actually really creepy.
Hmm.
But Curry's is very inviting, and that's probably how he can draw you in. He just looks like a happy little clown that you probably would, put on a
Oh.
TV show and everything, like a bozo clown. I don't know if you ever watched that show when you were a kid.
Hmm. Those are the scarier ones.
The ones that homie don't
Why is
play
this?
that and just smacks you on the head with
Why?
a sock.
Why are these adults dressing like this? I don't know. I fear humans more than supernatural, I guess. Naturally so.
Well, I also like even though we're on a talking about a different movie, I like how because we'll probably talk about like the difference between the it films, but how that film in general, especially the new one, dealt with you know the fears of the children compared to like the adults. The
Right.
adults have already experienced so much in their life because they've grown up, and now
Hmm.
the kids are seeing different things than what the adults would see. They're actually seeing stuff beyond what the adults can see now because they've grown out of it. Um, and it's just a really good like metaphor for like different viewpoints of your life. You grow up, you forget things, or you just like experience certain things, so the certain horrors of the world aren't so shocking to you anymore because you've seen it or you experienced it
Not,
yourself. But when you're younger,
yeah,
they're new and they're shocking and you know. So yeah, I like that little metaphor. I'm glad they didn't do what they did at the end of the book though, because that would not be able to be allowed to be on television or movies.
right. When it came out, when it was re-released, a couple of years back, my daughter went out and got the book, which is, oh, as a parent, you're so proud anytime a child picks up a book that you could kill someone with. That thing is huge. And I think she got maybe a chapter in, and she's like, this is deep. And there's a lot of really, terrible things in this, classic Stephen King writing. But yeah, it's dark in the way that that human nature is dark. Um, there's a lot of obscure clown movies out there that honestly I haven't watched, but if we want to say who is the campiest and also the scariest today, it's probably art. It's probably, full horror, gore, terrible killings, and camp from start to finish with those Terrifier movies. So they've taken that kind of killer clown legacy of full camp to the next level.
I have all three.
I love it.
Yeah,
So I watch it.
I'll review them eventually.
That would be a great sit-in. I actually I had the pleasure of seeing Terrifier 3 in the theater. Didn't get that opportunity for the first two, and what an experience, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now back to the movie because we're almost done. We're almost done. So, what was your favorite weapon in the film that was being used against the humans?
Honestly, I love the ray guns are so fun because they don't, they shoot really fun and, kind of a laser wave. It's not just a typical 80s laser. So those were a lot of fun. Um, yeah, that would probably be my favorite weapon. How about you?
Let's see. I think it was probably the popcorn gun because just the size of it, and it does look like something else that
Hmm.
yeah, you see at specific stores. I'm not gonna say. I mean, this isn't a child friendly pod.
Dorbus?
This is not a child friendly podcast, but it's. But yeah, he pulls it out. You're like that. Okay, who thought about that gun?
What is that?
What is that? Um, but yeah, I think that's a fun little gun. The little ray guns look like they do sell those at Spirit too. If you can actually buy the little ray guns at Spirit, which you can go to Spirit right now
Mhm. Yeah.
and buy the whole costume. And I think they're like 2 or 3 clowns that they sell. So, but yeah, that's one of my favorite ones is the popcorn gun.
Yeah, they have a lot of really fantastic. You mentioned the shadow puppet kill. We talked a little bit about creatures popping out of things. We haven't talked yet about the kill that gets me a little upset in this movie, which is when Mooney gets taken out. I feel like his character was so big. It could have been so much more, but he had that strange ventriloquist puppet kill in the movie, and it, it I I just I felt like they did him wrong, honestly.
Yeah, but he was one of those characters that you kind of looked at and you're like, do I feel bad for him? Maybe
Oh,
I don't know.
absolutely
Because
not.
he's kind of a dick. He's a dick to everyone, even his coworkers. He's a dick to. It's like, uh, I mean, compared to a lot of the other people that we barely got to know. I mean, he was one of those characters you're like, I don't think he's going to survive. I don't, if he does survive, I'd be shocked.
Oh yeah, no, he was doomed from the get-go, but his kill was so the kill itself was kind of bashed against the bars in the jail cell. Just a little lackluster. And then we had the final words from Mooney, but I think maybe it was because he was such a dick that you wanted more from that. You wanted him to go out with a blaze.
Oh yeah, I mean, if this was a zombie movie or television show, he would have survived a lot longer. It's
For
usually
sure.
the assholes that last longer. Those type of like
Mhm.
genre films, but this is
Yeah, he should have had a pretty big weapon at some point, just blasting away before he went out in a blaze of glory. That's kind of that character style usually. So,
I think the thing that really took him out was his ego and not believing anybody else, especially when things were
mhm.
going down. It's like people are literally calling you, saying they're killer clowns attacking public, and you're just like, you know, brushing it
Drinking
off.
your Jack Daniels.
You're basically brushing it off like it's nothing, like everyone's lying. It's like, why would
Yeah.
all these people be lying to you and calling
Mhm.
911?
That actually, when they get back to the police department, they're trying to find him, and you have the footprints, the clown footprints down the hallway, and then on the ceiling and on the side of the walls. That was also a pretty good move. They had a lot of fun with this one.
Now, when did you originally see this film?
I didn't see it when it first came out. I was when it first came out, giving away my age, I was 9 years old when the movie first came out. So for some reason, it didn't make it on my parents' list of movies to bring home on VHS. But I did see it. I definitely remember watching it as a teenager, a young teenager at a party. And yeah, I won't go into detail, but it was a heck of a lot funnier because we were at a party. Um, yeah, and then I feel like I've watched it every couple of years since, and it was maybe 2 years ago that my daughter, so she would have been probably around 16, she wanted to watch it. And that was the first time I'd seen it probably since we hit the 20 teens. And it was great to watch her enjoy it as much as she did. She thought it was hilarious, and she's a big fan now too. So,
Fantastic. Yeah, I saw that probably in the early 90s. So because this is it came out in '88. So
Yeah,
and I was born in '85. So
you were a wee one.
yes, I was a wee one. But like I said, I was able to watch R-rated films when in the
Hmm.
'80s. So with our conversation we had earlier,
Yeah,
and
go parent.
yeah, well, some people say go parents. Some people are like,
Mm.
why would you let your son watch that? Don't you know those are R-rated films? Like, but I love RoboCop and I love Aliens. They're awesome films.
I love RoboCop. We turned out okay. There's a whole generation that, grew up at that time watching horror movies that turned out just fine.
Yep.
So,
Well, most of us turned out okay.
yeah.
Most of us turned out okay.
Yeah, there's also a good portion that did. That's what the horror movies today are made about.
Oh yeah, or they have, you know, political messages. We're not going to really get into those that sometimes work, sometimes don't. It all depends on how good the
Then
story.
there's that,
It all depends on how good the story is. And like I always say,
right?
if you're going to put a semi-political or anything else like message in a film, make it a good story. Don't just shove like a narrative in there and then forget it's supposed to be actually a good film. They'll either have fun with
Yeah.
or to actually be thought provoking. Um, because otherwise it just ruins it. And people won't talk about that. The film itself. You need a film to really, like Killer Klowns from Outer Space. There's really nothing like it. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Original.
the original. Like when Terminator came out, there were robots before, from outer space or something to that effect. Happy robots, funny robots. Nothing like a killer robot from the future.
Right.
Those original ideas. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of original ideas today because they've all been done. And
All I spend my time doing is coming up with original ideas for horror stories, and it's a fun challenge.
yeah, my friend Courtney Lee, um, she writes like fantasy novels and everything.
Hmm.
So she has to come up with stuff, but even she has to glean off of material that's already been done before because that's the popular stuff. I mean, she could come up with
Yeah.
she has original stuff herself, but to really bring in those fans, it has to be some type of familiarity of
Hmm.
the certain genres and stuff. So we are actually, and I don't know if you know about this, we are actually going to be getting a remake of Killer Clowns
I did not know
from
that.
Amazon MGM Studios, and apparently Ryan Gosling is set to produce.
Uh,
So if he's producing, he's probably going to be also in the film.
Okay. I like Gosling. Let's
Yes.
let's go.
I don't know if you were a Mickey Mouse fan back in the early '90s, but he was a Mouseketeer,
Was he really?
along on the same year with Britney Spears, Christina
Gonna
Aguilera,
say.
J.C. Chazé, and Justin Timberlake. Oh, and Kerry Russell.
Yeah.
So all the
See,
all together.
I was babysitting at that time, but it was, Gen X babysitting, so it was babysitting way too young. So I was probably, 13 years old babysitting kids, a kid babysitting kids. I definitely watched some of those, but I did not recall Ryan Gosling being one of the Mouseketeers.
hmm
I'd like to say I'll go back and watch, but I won't.
Well, he was an amazing dancer and singer, and you can kind of tell in the La La Land that you're like, if you didn't
Mhm.
know before, you're like, wow, he can dance and sing. I'm like, yeah, if you've ever watched Mickey Mouse Club, well, I wasn't born yet, and then it just ages you. You're like, no,
That
it's
explains
like
it. Yeah.
no.
Aw, aw.
But no, it's gonna be interesting. Apparently they made the announcement in April of this year that they're
That's
remaking it.
fantastic.
So I'm crossing my fingers, well, both fingers,
Mhm.
but that they still keep some of the goofiness with it, because a lot of times when they do remakes, especially these
Mhm.
days, of some older classics,
Mhm.
they like to go
Mhm.
really serious, really really serious, and it's like
Or
it takes away from.
yeah, or they go too hard with the best parts, and the Beetlejuice, what Beetlejuice 2,
Yeah, I think it's
that
Beetlejuice,
movie.
Beetlejuice.
What a disappointment for me. You
Yeah.
took the best things and you just went too hard with them, and I feel like you have to pay homage to the original, but it still has to, to your point earlier, it still has to be a good movie. So let's hope.
Yeah, I think a lot of studios are just looking at nostalgia. Now, if we could get the fans here in nostalgia, they won't care if we have a good script. They'll just
Right.
go along with it because we're giving you the same actor or actors. We're giving you a similar story, but just an updated one. And we're like, no, we actually want to either original story or even if you're doing a revival or reboot, just you know a better story along with it.
Hmm.
Um, if you're just going to rehash something, um, I don't know if you've watched How to Train Your Dragon remake or live
I
action
have not
remake.
seen it.
Okay, I'm not going
I've
to say
not
anything,
seen it.
but I can just
I
say
heard it's really good.
it is. It is. They don't reinvent the wheel from the animated film.
Hmm.
It's almost verbatim in some areas of the film. Word for word, scene for scene, and so it's very safe film. It's by the same director too, who did the animated
Oh
one.
wow.
So uh, I'm hoping that this updated version of Killer Klowns doesn't forget its roots, coming from a sort of a campy, clown type of film, and goes too hardcore and goes like, now the clowns have like their goth makeup, and then they're going in and they're just like these giant ships that don't look anything like a circus or something like that. You're like, no, 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 no. It has to be clowns. It has to look like a circus, very inviting, so
Yeah.
that it can get its prey.
Do the same thing, but just use today's, cutting edge opportunities, and it will be a fantastic movie. One of the better horror movies I think that came out as a remake in recent history, it might be a little older than that, but was actually Pet Cemetery. I thought they did such a good job with it. They changed things slightly around to keep us guessing, but the tropes that we loved were there. The story was authentic still to the original story, and they doubled down on cinematography, and you got a great flick out of it. So let's hope that they don't get too creative with the script, and they stick with the roots, like you said, and just really double down on special effects.
Definitely. Oh, most definitely. Now, how many stars would you give this? I would say let's do like 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10.
Yes.
I yeah, so I feel like if it's 1 out of 10 of all the horror movies ever created, I would probably kind of go mid and give it a 5. But if you say give it a 1 out of 10 for cult classics, just because it has that sort of star power in that genre or that subsector, I would say it's, an 8, maybe even a 9 for cult classic horror movies.
Nice. Yeah, I'd probably do about 5 as well. If I was doing like
Yeah.
1 out of 5, it would have been probably like a 3.5. But yeah, basically a similar sentiment, especially with
Hmm.
classic, you know, genre in general, that it belongs high up there with being well known, especially in the horror
Yeah.
community, and not just in the horror community, just in movie community in general.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
It
so
has its place.
it does have its place. Well, thank you for coming on tonight. I hope you can join me for my next review. I'm going to be doing Life Force. I don't know if you've ever heard
I
about
haven't,
that. 1985, my year. I was
let
born
me check
there.
it out. Ooh,
All I'll say
the
is
fourth.
it's space vampires.
Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah, it's not ringing a bell, so I love it when someone can bring me something I haven't seen before.
We can try to set up a watch along, maybe here on Discord as well, to watch it. But yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
it
cool.
is an interesting film. It has not even a main character, but Patrick Stewart's in there too. So
Oh, nice.
yes,
Sticking with the genre. Nice.
but no. Thank you for coming on and reviewing Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If you haven't seen it, you can actually watch it for free on YouTube right now. And
Very nice.
especially if you have YouTube Red or Plus or whatever they call it, you can watch it without commercials, which is really nice. I was looking it up, seeing if actually it was on YouTube. I'm like, ah, it's free. So for people who haven't seen it yet, they can watch it for free on YouTube.
Worth a purchase on Prime. It's cheap, and then you have it forever to treasure.
Fantastic. Is there anywhere anybody else can follow you on any socials that you have?
Not yet.
Not
We'll keep you
yet.
posted.
Not yet. All
Coming
right,
soon.
coming soon. Well, this is the first episode for Horror Corner. My name is JPOOL,
And I'm Elsie.
and remember to enjoy your chimichanga.